Okay, today we're going to practice a new reading strategy that's going to help us when we're reading nonfiction text. And it's called using concept maps while we read. Mia, do you know what's the difference between fiction and nonfiction when we're reading?
Nonfiction's real. Yeah, real.
You're right.
And then fiction's fake.
Absolutely. Nonfiction is real. We learn about real information, like facts. And fiction is fake. So there are different strategies that we use to help us read nonfiction and that help us read fiction. So today we're going to use something called concept maps to help us read and understand nonfiction text. So I made an example one for us to do together first before we read our article today. And I made a little concept map about dogs because I know you know lots of information about dogs. So when we're making a concept map, what it helps us do is it helps us take our key, our big idea, and it helps us organize other information that we know about that topic. So here I put dogs in the middle because that's our key piece that we're talking about. And what are some other things about dogs that you know?
I know about breeds.
Okay, so what we could do when we're making a concept map is in one of my bubbles, I could put breeds, okay, because that's a category about dogs that you know a lot about, right? What are some different breeds of dogs that you know about, Mia?
Terriers.
Okay, so coming off of that little bubble, I could put the word terriers because that's one breed of dogs that you know about. What's another breed of dog that you know?
Swedish Vallhund.
Okay. I'm going to do my best spelling that. Say it again. Swedish.
Vallhund.
Okay. What else?
Pugs.
Pugs. So, this is what we do when we're making a concept map. I have dogs. I know different breeds of dogs, and I'm going to list the specific breeds of the dogs that I know. Helps me organize the information that I know about dogs. What's another thing about dogs that you know? Could we maybe say, I bet you know some characteristics of dogs, like what they look like, special features. So could we put down characteristics? That's something important about dogs. They have tails. What else?
4 legs.
4 legs. What else?
Snouts.
Snouts. What do dogs have on their body that humans don't have necessarily?
Fur.
They have lots of fur, right? Good. So we know breeds of dogs, and we listed some breeds. We know characteristics of dogs. They have tails, they have 4 legs, they have snouts and fur. What's something else that you know about dogs? Think about Delilah. Do you ever teach Delilah how to do any tricks?
Yeah.
Okay, what are some... So I'm going to put that in our third bubble. Tricks. You know some tricks that you can teach dogs. What are some tricks that you've tried to teach Delilah?
I taught her how to sit.
Sit. Good. What else?
Stay.
Stay.
Come.
Come.
Down.
Good. Down. So, tricks, and off of the tricks, I'm putting some of those tricks that you've taught Delilah before. So you get the idea of what a concept map is. It's just a way of mapping all the different things that you know about dogs. And what's so great about concept maps is that you can use them when you're reading nonfiction. When we read nonfiction, we don't always read it the same way that we're reading fiction, right? Because nonfiction gives us lots of information. So we have to pick out all those important facts. And using a concept map can help us organize that information. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to use a concept map, but we're going to use it for this article that I printed. Take a look. It's called Twister Touchdown, and it's an article all about tornadoes. So the reason that I picked this article is because it's a really good nonfiction article I thought you'd be interested in, and it'll give you the idea when you're in school. Using a concept map to help you understand an article is something great that you can do during science and social studies when you're reading nonfiction then. Okay, so let's read it together. Follow along as I read. Twister Touchdown. Central Florida cleans up after the first tornadoes of 2007. The windy season in Florida began in a big way. Residents of 4 countries are recovering after a series of destructive tornadoes ripped through Central Florida, killing 20 people. damaging hundreds of homes and cutting off power to more than 20,000 people. A tornado is a powerful, rotating tube of air that runs from the ground to a thundercloud. The recent tornado was so strong that it lifted a moving tractor trailer off the ground and dropped it onto another truck. Fortunately, neither driver was seriously hurt. The drivers did, however, find out how powerful a tornado can be. Okay, I want to stop there just for a second because there was a lot of really important information in that article. And what we're going to do, before we take our information and put it into a concept map, I want to pick out some of those really important things that we're learning as we go. So you have a highlighter. Did you notice anything in that first paragraph that we read that you think is really important that we should highlight, that might be something we want to come back to?
They damage.
Okay.
Hundreds of homes.
They damage hundreds of homes. Was there anywhere in there that told us what a tornado is? Nothing? Let's go back and let's look. Okay? I'm going to go back to that sentence that you said, where it said damaging hundreds of homes and cutting off power.
Oh, a tornado is a powerful rotating tube of air that runs from the ground to a thundercloud.
Okay. Do you think that's important? Should we highlight that? I think that's an important fact because I think it's important that we know what a tornado is. So let's highlight that. Good. Okay, we're going to keep doing this as we go along, and we're going to pick out those really important things that as we read, okay? Let's look at the next part. The next part says Tunnel of Fury, how a tornado forms. So what do you think that section is going to tell us about?
How it forms?
Make a tornado, right? So let's look for that information as we read. How does a tornado form? The strongest tornadoes develop from powerful large-scale thunderstorms called supercells. The Florida tornadoes were created by supercell storms. 1. Supercells are created when fronts of warm, moist air collide with cold, dry air. 2. The opposing warm and cold gusts of air create a rotating column of rising wind called a mesocyclone. And 3. When the funnel-shaped cloud touches the ground, it becomes a tornado. All right, is there one sentence there that you think maybe could sum up what forms a tornado?
Supercells are created when fronts of warm, moist air collide with cold, dry air.
That supercells form, hold on one second, that supercells word is very important. Where does it tell us what a supercell is? So read that sentence.
The strongest tornadoes develop from powerful large-scale thunderstorms called supercells.
So those supercells are those really large, those large thunderstorms, right? And that's where we get tornadoes from. So could we maybe highlight that first sentence that tells us about the supercells? That's important. Good. Okay, next section. Wind speeds. During the recent Florida tornadoes, winds reached speeds of more than 150 miles per hour. The storms were rated EF3 on the Enhanced Fujita scale. Scientists use the scale to measure the size and strength of tornadoes. The scale ranges from EF0, the weakest, and EF5, the strongest, with winds of more than 200 miles per hour. Crazy, huh? What do you think is the most important thing from that little section? What do we need to know about?
The speed.
Okay, and how do we measure the speed of tornadoes?
With
the Enhanced Fujita scale. Have you ever heard, think about last week when we had those tornadoes. Did you hear them referring to them as EF1s or EF2s? Have you ever heard that on the news before?
Mm-mm.
That's how we measure how powerful tornadoes are. So I would highlight that Enhanced Fujita scale because I think that's important. That's how we measure how strong the tornadoes are. Good. And last section. By the numbers. Average number of tornadoes reported each year in the United States is 800. width of a tornado. Do you know what width is?
Yeah. It's like from right to left.
How wide it is.
Yeah.
Good. Between 2 and 6 miles. So some of them can be up to 6 miles in width. Just one tornado. Length of damage trail a tornado can leave. So it can leave damage for up to 50 miles. And tornado time span, up to 1 hour. But most tornadoes last less than 20 minutes. Anything important that we should highlight there?
The width of the tornado can be 2 and 6 miles.
So these were kind of just fun facts, right, about tornadoes. So there wasn't really a big important idea, but we could highlight that because that is an interesting fact that we could highlight about tornadoes. The width is between 2 and 6 miles. All right. Are you ready to make a concept map with all our information? Okay, let's flip back to the beginning. So you remember how we did it with dogs? We're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to do it with tornadoes because we've learned lots of information about tornadoes. So I've started one, but you're going to help me fill it in. Okay? Remember, in the middle, what goes in the middle?
Tornadoes.
Our big idea, right? So in this case, we learned about tornadoes. Now we're going to organize all the information that we learned about tornadoes. What is a tornado?
Tornado is a powerful rotating tube of air that runs from the ground to a thundercloud.
And you notice, because we highlighted, you were able to go right back and tell me that information like that. So that was awesome. Okay, so tell me one more time. I'm just going to write a little summary of what you said.
Tornado is a powerful rotating tube of air.
Good.
From the ground to the sky.
Powerful rotating tube of air goes from
the ground to a thundercloud.
Good. All right. How does it form? That's another important thing we learned about tornadoes. Do you remember what those thunderstorms are called?
The strongest tornadoes are developed from large-scale thunderstorms called supercells.
So they form from supercells, right? Which are really strong.
/ really strong thunderstorms.
Should we put that on there to remind us? Really strong thunderstorms. Good. Okay. Those were two important things that I wanted us to be able to put into our map. What is a tornado and how does it form? What are some other important things that we learned that we could add to our map about tornadoes? What do you think we should include? If you were going to tell somebody about what you read, what would be the most important things that you want them to know?
The storm, all tornado storms are rated EF through 3 that enhanced the Gita scale.
So storms are measured, right? We measure how strong they are using the enhanced Vegeta scale. Good. Anything else that we should add to our map? Did you highlight anything else that we thought was important or interesting about tornadoes?
The width.
Okay, maybe we'll add that to our last little bubble.
The width of a tornado, between 2 and 6 miles.
Good. Now let's look at our map. Okay. Are we able to get the most important things that we read just by looking at our map?
Mm-hmm.
We know it's about tornadoes. We know what they are. We know how they form. We know how they're measured. Should I put that here?
Yeah, measured. And then the other one can just be,
What could we label this last bubble?
how far? How big?
Width. How big? Good. How big are they?
2 to 6 miles.
Yep, exactly. So now, if somebody else was to come and look at our map, would they be able to get all the important things that we read in our article? Yeah. So why do you think we do this when we're reading a nonfiction piece?
So
What does it help us do?
If we have to write like a summary about it, that we can go back to this and say, oh, okay, so I know how it is and what it is.
Great. Yeah, I love how you use that word summary. We could go back and we could write a really good summary of our article just by looking at this map. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If you were to do this by yourself, I know we did this one together, but if you were going to do it by yourself, I could see if you understood the article. Because if you're able to pick out the most important things, I'll know that you understood what you were reading, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good job, Mia. Thank you.